I can't wait for you to be able to gather here at St. Paul's with us in worship again. Hi, I'm Pete Panitsky, one of the pastors here, and that's very much on my mind because in our Old Testament reading for our journey to the empty tomb, it begins in Deuteronomy 16, and it talks about how important it is for God's people to gather to celebrate the great events of our God's saving work. So in Deuteronomy 16, you'll see the 3 times that God's people were to gather in Jerusalem to worship the Savior for the 3 great festivals. The last 2 chapters of the Old Testament readings, Deuteronomy 17 and 18, talk about the 3 offices that the people of the Old Testament had. There was the king, who was to be the spiritual leader, and then the priest, who was to offer sacrifices, and the prophet, who was to teach God's people. And as you read through that section, I hope you'll recognize that Jesus fulfills each one of those 3 Old Testament offices. But really the gem of our reading for today is from the last half of Acts chapter 7. You'll begin reading at Acts chapter 7, verse 37, and read through the end of the chapter. There, Stephen is wrapping up his defense. He's standing before the Jewish Sanhedrin, and they've accused him of dishonoring the temple and dishonoring the law of Moses. And after a long history section, he says, "You are the ones who are dishonoring Moses and dishonoring this holy place." Well, not surprisingly, the reaction was immediate. They drag him out of the city, and they're ready to stone him to death. Stephen's all alone, but he's not. Because just as he's about to be stoned to death as the first Christian martyr, he sees the glory of God and Jesus standing at the right hand of God. He was not all alone. The priest who had sacrificed for him on the cross, the prophet who had proclaimed forgiveness from that cross, is the king who is still reigning over all things. Dear brother, dear sister, you may feel like you are all alone right now, but you are not. The glory of God is present with you, and Jesus is still standing at the right hand of God, the one who died for you, who proclaims forgiveness to you. You are never alone. You know, today is our last of our Wednesday Lenten services. And when I was a kid, our Lenten services always ended with a focus on the darkened church and the lighted cross and this hymn. And this is my prayer for you. Hold thou thy cross before my closing eyes. Shine through the gloom and point me to the skies. Heaven's morning breaks and earth's vain shadows flee. In life, in death, O Lord, abide with me. Amen.